Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Where to Grind guide in Black Desert Online. This guide is going to show you where to grind in the game based on your current gear score. We're going to cover each grind zone in the game. I will explain to you which ones kind of make more silver, sure, but where to get certain resources in the game if maybe that's what you're looking for, or where you're going to grind and why you would grind certain spots in the game at various gear levels. So let's get right into it. All right, so the first spot that all of you are going to be grinding in Black Desert Online is actually the Velia Beach. Yes, that's right, the Velia Beach. So you're going to get your Balanos rod, you're going to put it at +10, you're going to throw the rod into the water, and then every night when you finish fishing, you're going to run up to that Magnus well. Oh, yes, you are going to run up to that Magnus well. You're going to Magnus all the way to Land of the Morning Light, and then you're going to trade all of your fish in at this beautiful fishing vendor. I don't even know where he is because nobody cares. And that is going to be your highest silver per hour as a new player. Now, real talk. When you're a new player, you're going to speed run the main story. And if you don't know exactly what to do or how to gear, guys, I have a gear guide for that as well. Okay, so that'll be linked in the video description. And I make guides for pretty much all of the content in BDO. There's very few things that I don't have a guide for nowadays, whether it be life skilling, gear, PvE, PvP, etc. Although they're PvP. Sometimes. All right, so the best early game grinders in the entire game. Everyone. You heard me. Every single class, everybody's going to have their opinion on this about how, oh, they think that their class is the best, or they have their opinion about what class is better than what. The simple truth of the matter is that every single class in the game can grind in a super highly efficient way at low-end grind zones. It does not matter. There are stupid people like that's being spammed in my chat right now that will tell you Archer or Musa or Nova. No, those classes can't really outgrind you at all, even if you're an Awakening Witch. And the reason is there are so many different places to grind for low-end grinders in the game that every single class in the game has a spot that they can do overwhelmingly efficiently in low-end spots. For example, an Awakening Witch and a Musa, if you ask most players which class grinds more efficiently in low-end grinding, most players are going to say it's the Awakening Musa. That's simply not the case. Sure, Awakening Musa might grind faster at Desert Nagas, Desert Fogans, Gahas, and things like this, but Awakening Witch can do Miramok Ruins just as reasonably well and make basically the exact same silver per hour and grind it more efficiently than the Musa because she can have Toxic Flood and Red Orb down the entire time. Okay? Because again, you just have to play to your class's strengths. So it's really going to come down to where, what class you're playing and where you truly like to grind as a new player, right? Miramok, and I'm just going to say this, I'm going to explain this later in the guide too, but Miramok's a great spot where you just stand there. You don't have to worry about pack-to-pack mobility. It's a great spot for that. Okay, so if you're, again, if your class is relatively low mobility, like a Suck Nova or an Awakening Caster, definitely Miramok is a fantastic spot to grind. You'll get your infinite potions there. You'll get your, with Atanis elements, you'll get good silver per hour. It's got the best combat, some of the best combat EXP in the game at that level as well. Really, really good. If you are an Awakening Musa or an Awakening Nova, Centaur's Herd is probably really good. You're not going to be grinding for your infinite potion as efficiently because you're going to have to buy it off the central market, but you will make slightly more silver per hour overall. That, again, you'll have to turn around and buy your potion with, right? So, again, every single class, when we get to the higher end grind zones, this is going to change a little bit, especially the mid-game grind zones. There's going to be certain classes that are more efficient at certain spots. That's just the truth, okay? But you need to take into account what you like to grind. You're going to be one-shotting all of these mobs. If you're a new player, you're one-shotting every spot I'm about to talk about can be done in Tuvala gear, okay? And you're going to be one-shotting everything. So it really doesn't matter, okay? Don't let it get in your head oh my God, they're grinding so much faster than me. Because they're not, okay? And they're lying to you. And that's what we're going to talk about next with Garmoth.com here. All right, so this is usually what people reference for silver per hour. And I know this is going to sound shocking to players, but you're not actually going to be making this much money. That's crazy. People on the internet are able to basically record their grind hours and what they got and put it in this site called Garmoth.com, and Garmoth puts all of those numbers together and you get kind of an average silver per hour. So Golden Pig Cave, which is currently the highest silver per hour in the game, you can see that, 32 hours on May with Succession. You see their trash loot 20,000, etc. So like people record how much trash loot they get, people record how much stuff they get, and that's how you get all these drop rates and how much silver per hour you're getting. You can also adjust all of this stuff, and I'm telling you right now, most of these numbers are complete lies. Okay. They are a good metric, like they're a good like general metric. All right, so don't look at this number per se. Okay, you want to look at the order that the grind zones are in. This site is great, but like you don't want to look at this number. As people get fixated on that. You want to look at the order that the different spots are in. So like Golden Pig Cave is the highest money in the game, followed by Dehkia Olens 2, followed by Darkseeker's Retreat, and then you could keep going down the list. Okay, and that is generally, as a rule, that is generally the order that they are in. But the number on the right side, it's going to come as a shock, but people lie about how much drops they're getting per hour. Either they do an extra 5 or 10 minutes, or they didn't start the hour until the event started, and then they got a bunch of extra silver, or like they were pumping with like all the best consumables in the game, right? And they were sweating balls for an entire hour. It's a lie. Okay, most of them are just bad. Okay, so you don't really necessarily want to look at the numbers per se, but the order does matter. So if we look at Blood Wolf Settlement, if I can, there we go, Blood Wolf Settlement, all the way down here, 675 million silver an hour. You're not making that as a new player. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's not happening. This is counting the Blood Wolf's Oath. This is the pity piece. So in other words, you need 100 of these to get the raw drop, which is the Ancient Half Moon Cagtanak for the potion. Okay, the potion has 3 pieces, as I explained in my guide on it. It has 3 pieces, and each of the pieces drops from a different spot in the game, and each of them has 100 pity pieces that drop, where if you don't get it in the 100 pities, you can craft it proper. Okay, so the reason that Garmoth is counting those pieces as actual silver per hour is because you can sell the infinite potion on the central marketplace. Okay, which means that some people will come here and they will effectively, they're not selling the Blood Wolf's Oath, but they're going to make the Blood Wolf. So they grind out 100 Blood Wolf's Oath, then they go to the next spot, they grind out 100 more pities and 100 more pities, and they put the potion together, and then they sell the finished product. Right? So they're assuming that you're going to go grind at 2 other spots for 100 more pities, right? And they've calculated the cost of each pity piece, which is about 100 million silver, right? They've also added in 75 million silver for something that if it drops, you're not going to grind here anymore. That's crazy. And you're certainly not going to be selling it. Okay, so there are numbers included in this that are it's just complete BS. Okay, because a lot of this stuff, you're not actually going to sell it to make money. All right, so realistically, Blood Wolves, you're going to make about 350 to 450 million silver an hour. It depends on whether or not there's a drop event going on. Usually, if there's not a drop event going on and you're a new player, probably about 300 million an hour, maybe 400. And if you're hitting that marker, that's pretty good. Mainly because, again, as a new player, you're not going to know your skill rotation super well. You're not going to know your movement rotation super well. You're not going to be grinding the most efficient way possible, and you're certainly not going to have like all your buffs like lined up and perfect or anything at this stage of the game. Most people that say you're going to make 500, 600, 700, 800 million an hour at these low end spots are assuming that you have perfect crystals, that you have a perfect skill rotation, that you have a perfect, that you know how to play your class perfectly, and that you understand the game at a level that new players simply are not going to be able to understand. So when I explain to you in my guide what silver per hour you're going to be making in a certain grind zone, please understand that my numbers are trying to be a little bit more realistic about what you can expect at that grind zone and how much silver per hour you're kind of expect. It's not going to line up necessarily with what is on Garmoth.com. Garmoth is a great website, but sadly people lie on it, and people are intentionally disingenuous with how much they're making. So Blood Wolves is a good example. I make about 320 as a new player grinding for my potion pieces. There it is. As a brand new player, the first spots that you're probably going to grind are either for your infinite potion, and I have an infinite potion guide that goes really in depth on each of the infinite potion grind zones. I talk about how to get your infinite potion. I also go through each spot for the infinite potion. I show you all of the rotations. I go through what drops there. I show you why you would want to grind that particular spot, depending on which potion you're going for, etc. So again, that'll be linked in the video description. I will briefly glaze over each of those spots through here, but if you want to look at them in more detail and kind of where the rotations are and stuff, that's definitely the guide that you're going to be want to be looking for, because some of these low-end spots, it can be quite confusing. Now, most low-end players that are new to the game are not going to have their infinite potion yet. So we'll cover that first, because most players are going to be looking for that. Infinite potion. All right. Well, the HP one is always more important than the mana potion one. It's not even a question. Okay, it's not. It ain't a question at all. All right. So the first spot that most new players are going to look at grinding is Blood Wolf Settlement. For whatever reason, that's the first of the three spots that most new players gravitate towards. Shirikon Necropolis is where dreams go to die, and most people don't like Rhonaros very much, so Blood Wolf Settlement is where you end up coming. So, like, it's a pretty good spot. You can do this with, like, Try Tuvala, which, by the way, is obtainable on your second day of the game, basically. Like, you can just go through half of the main story. You get through Calpheon, you get through Medaya, and then you're literally... you have enough gear to do Blood Wolves. Like it's just that simple, because Try is literally free nowadays. They give it to you for free. So Blood Wolves is a spot that you do right away. It's pretty contested. So like pros, you get to grind for your infinite potion piece. The piece proper does drop here, and there's Atanis elements. Cons, and I'm going to tell you this early on in the guide, for those of you that are listening, people are going to lie to you about how much you're going to make. I don't care if it's Garmot.com. I don't care if it's your friend of like 10 years. I don't care who it is. People are going to lie to you about how much silver per hour you are going to make as a new player. And they're going to lie to you about how much silver per hour they are making as veteran players. Every single time. So I'm not going to lie to you. Blood Wolf Settlement, again, like 300 to 400 mil an hour. If you're making that in that marker, you're right in the ballpark of where every player should be. And again, this is grindable with Try Tuvala. After people finish a Blood Wolf Settlement, people usually come over to Shirikon Necropolis. I will warn you, and I cover this in my Infinite Potion Guide, you do not want to grind Shirikon Necropolis Day. That's when you start cutting yourself in game, of course, but vertically on the wrist in game. Okay, don't grind Shirikon Necropolis Day. It is not a good idea. Okay, what you need to do is you need to grind. There are two different ways you can grind Shirikon Necropolis. Okay, Shirikon Necropolis has two different aspects to the zone, day and night. Day Shirikon is where dreams go to die. You go around in circles making like 80 million silver an hour, and it's a miserable experience. The only positive thing that happens at Shirikon is that you get to kill other players that are also suffering, so that they are suffering more than you. Okay, there's one particularly frustrating mob called Frederick. Everybody hates Frederick. He literally, his frontal guard just blocks everything. It's a very frustrating mob that just refuses to get one shot. You'll know it when it happens to you. But again, do not grind Shirikon Day. What you do is you wait for it to go nighttime. Nighttime is great. Okay, because at nighttime at Shirikon, you can walk up, and I explain this in my Infinite Potion Guide. You can walk up to these little altars, the elite spawns. You kill one elite. He drops a lot of stuff. A lot of the Infinite Potion pity pieces drop there during the nighttime. The raw piece also drops, right? And it does cost energy, right? And it only happens at night. And nighttime is a very short part of our cycle. So if it's nighttime, I recommend grinding at Shirikon. But if it's daytime, you're going to come over, you're going to grind at Rhonaros, which is only marginally better, okay? It is a little bit better, but most people don't like Rhonaros either. Rhonaros is a spot where, again, you're probably going to be making less than you were at Blood Wolves. You're going to be making less than you are at Shirikon nighttime. All right, Shirikon daytime is the lowest of the three, but that's why I'm saying don't grind there. During the day, you come to Rhonaros, and you suffer a little bit less. At Rhonaros, I would say you're making 300 million an hour at like the medium. Like straight up, it is not super great. The mob density here is not very good. And again, I cover this in my Infinite Potion Guide, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But this is where people like to grind at this. And that's where the third Infinite Potion piece drops. The mana piece, the mana potion actually has three spots. Most of the time, people start at Monsham's. This is the best of the Infinite Potion spots to grind if you're going to grind for the raw pieces of the Infinite Potion and not for Atanis elements. Monsham Forest is great silver per hour. It's really solid EXP. It's really solid pretty much everything. The mobs are nice and clumped up. New players have a good experience there. And overall, it's solid silver per hour, everything. It's pretty good. So it's a nice experience. You'll probably cruise straight to 100 pities and be A-okay there. The second place, and again, you'll be making 400 to 500, 350 to 450, something like Blood Wolves. Something like Blood Wolves. in there. Maybe a little bit better than Blood Wolves in some aspects. The only bad thing about Blood Wolves is that there's multiple types of trash loot. Manchams, there's only one. The second part of the Infinite Mana Potion is Never End Step, where you have to gather. And I recommend this is where you do all of your weeklies for the Infinite Potion. You have to gather here. You basically are killing the birds from up. Okay, so you're slaughtering Kevin on repeat, and then you're butchering them. You're ripping their organs out and looking for Infinite Potion piece in there. Okay, and it's a little rough. It's a little rough. A lot of people don't like gathering, so in order to minimize this, I recommend doing the weeklies here. Not really a grind zone though. Okay, the worst spot of the three, or the worst spot of the 6 spots for Infinite Potions, in my opinion, this is the worst place to grind in the entire game, is Tashira Ruins. This is one of the lowest silver per hour spots that a new player can really grind at. It is not very fun. The only thing that you really get to do is you grind this spot on Arsha, and every single time somebody comes into your grind zone, you say, "What are you doing in my swamp?" Like it's something out of Shrek. All right. That's about the best experience that you're going to have here. Everything else is basically pain and suffering. You're going to get like the mana potion piece here, and then you're going to move on with your life. You're never going to come back here ever again. Okay. All right. Okay, now let's talk about silver per hour spots. Okay, because most of these spots, I'll be honest with you, new players, these are not very good silver per hour. Okay, these are not very good. Infinite potion spots sacrifice silver per hour to give you higher chances at the potion. Okay, because you can get the potion piece proper. All right, but if you want to focus a little bit more on your gear, a little bit more on silver per hour, and also still grind for your potion, we're going to cover those spots next. The best spots for those are usually, the spots that I recommend are Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans. Usually Desert Fogans is considered the best. These are called Atanis Element spots. Atanis Elements is basically a pity piece. It can act as any one of the 3 potion pieces, pity pieces. So you can turn them in. Here, I'll show you. All right. So this is what you turn in Atanis Elements for. You can see that it can be turned in for each of the individual pity pieces, any one that you want. Okay, so if you don't want to do the gathering at Never End Step, or you don't want to do Tashira Ruins, for example, you can come grind another spot, get 100 Atanis Elements, turn them in for 100 of the normal, whichever one you want, and boom, you're good to go. Okay, so this is how a lot of people like to approach their Infinite Potion, and it's a little bit more cost effective in terms of your time spent. You get to progress your gear a little bit, and you get to grind for your Infinite Potion. Most new players, they want to get the raw drop. They're new to the game. But if you want to be a little bit more efficient, you're going to do it this way. Okay. Now, Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans have the highest Atanis drop rate in the game, to my knowledge. I've grinded these spots a tremendous amount, whether it be on Seasonal or my Iron Man or whatever. There's just a lot of mob density at these 2 locations. It's also very high combat and skill EXP. The skill, you would grind Fogans if you want more skill EXP. This is usually where you come. Fogans also has a higher scroll drop rate. Okay, so the scroll's written in an ancient language drop here, which means more memory fragments. Okay. Nagas has Blackstones. Okay. Now, both of these spots, like Desert Nagas does have a scroll drop rate, but it's much lower than Fogans. Okay. And Fogans does drop Blackstones, but at much lower rate than Desert Nagas does. Okay. So Desert Nagas, if you really need Blackstones, or you want more consistent, like boom, 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 the Blackstones are just rolling all the time, Desert Naga is definitely the place you want to be. If you want to go for more memory fragment focused, and maybe you're okay with just riding out into the desert, you want to come over to Tidium Valley, which is Desert Fogans. That's where you want to grind for that. Okay. There's also Cadres. Cadres has been updated relatively recently. They updated how the Blackstones and stuff drop from here. Cadres is a great spot to grind for Blackstones again, a lot like Desert Nagas. So like if you like Desert Nagas, maybe it's a little too crowded, Cadres is kind of another option for you. It's another spot where Blackstones drop relatively frequently, and you're also going to be able to get the Atanis Elements at a reasonable pace. Maybe not as much as Nagas, because again, Cadres has slightly lower mob density, so you're not going to get quite as many Atanis, but the silver per hour should work out relatively reasonably. Okay, so another spot that drops Atanis is Crescent Shrine. Crescent Shrine is a solid grind zone in the game. Almost nobody grinds here. The problem with Crescents is, yeah, it's a little bit closer to Sandgrain Bazaar, where you're going to be riding down from, than Fogans is. Desert Fogans, you do not have to deal with the desert debuff at Desert Fogans. It's technically not in the desert. So you don't have to deal with that. You do have to deal with the desert debuff at Nagas, but it is a lot closer to Sandgrain. Okay. Crescent Shrine, you have to deal with the desert debuff It's kind of in the middle. Crescents is solid skill EXP. It's moderate to low combat EXP. You grind there for the Crescent Ring primarily, and the scroll drop rate is somewhere between Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans. It's kind of a middle of the road grind zone between those two, and it makes sense based on where it's positioned on the map. But like I tell you right now, not very many people grind at normal Crescents nowadays. Where are the other Atanis? Oh yeah, let's come down to Kamasilvia. Okay, so there's some very, very good Atanis spots in Kamasilvia. One of the best Atanis spots is actually Miramok Ruins. This is a spot that I highly recommend if you want combat EXP in the early game specifically. Miramok is a spot that you can come to. You'll make solid silver per hour. Not as much as maybe Desert Nagas or Desert Fogans, but you will make solid silver per hour. You'll get Atanis elements, and you'll get the best combat EXP as far as I'm concerned without trading away silver. Okay, so like in my opinion, it's the best exchange for combat EXP, but most seasonal players are going to hit level 61 relatively quickly. Combat EXP is not going to be as important to a new player once you're hit level 61. Maybe you want to hit level 62. Maybe you're trying to push for 63. Then you want to go to Miramok. Miramok's pretty solid, in my opinion. And again, most of the Atanis spots are going to be making around the same silver per hour, 400 to 500 mil an hour. Again, you can tell that that's just a little bit, about 50 million more an hour than a standard infinite potion spot. So you're making slightly more money, but you don't have the chance of the infinite potion raw drop and that dopamine rush there. And this is pretty much true for all the Atanis spots, unless I say otherwise. Like again, Desert Nagas and Desert Fogans slightly edge them out. But again, you can make more money at Miramok. It is possible, depending on RNG. There's also, what is this spot over here called? Yeah, Fadus. That's right. Fadus is a spot that I think that very few people grind this grind zone. Atanis elements drop here, and honestly, it feels kind of like the old Sausins back in the day. It's a relatively chill grind zone. You're one-shotting everything. It's not very good combat or skill EXP. It doesn't do anything particularly well, but it's not a particularly bad grind zone. Okay, but it is an option. If all of the other spots are taken and you're really struggling to find a grind zone, Fadus is not a bad option. A lot of people grind Fadus because, you know, nobody's going to disrupt you there. No one's going to get in your way there. You're not going to have to swap servers. You're not going to have to worry about buffs or anything. It's kind of a piece of cake. Polly's Forest is an honorable mention. People would get upset if I didn't mention Polly's. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is some of the lowest silver per hour in the entire game. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. Polly's Forest is not very good silver per hour. You're going to get some coffer stones there, but for the most part, everything that drops at Polly's is kind of butt. But the trade-off is that although it's lower than some of the other Atanis spots in most cases, it's the best combat and skill EXP in the entire game for a new player. Like, oh, but I thought you said Miramok was. No. The Miramok is the best combat EXP in the game if you don't want to trade away your silver per hour. Okay, if you're willing to trade away, you don't care about your silver per hour, you don't care about any of that stuff, Polly's is definitely where you want to go. This is a great grind zone. The aesthetic of the grind zone is fantastic. You are going to trade away some silver per hour, and that's unfortunate, but it's a solid grind zone for combat and skill EXP. And this is where a lot of people go in like seasonal to like level up as quickly as possible. Veteran players particularly, it's a very popular spot for them because they don't care how much silver per hour they're making. It's like pennies to them. Okay, another spot you can come to is Basham Base. Do not recommend coming here. There are some weird freaks online that really love grinding at Basham's. The mob density is low. The silver per hour is not particularly good. You're not getting crazy scroll drop rates or blackstones or Atanis. You're getting pretty much just crap across the board. It is not very good, but it is still better than two of the spots I'm going to mention after this. Okay, so Basham's is okay. But like you can notice is that recommended AP 100. This is kind of a spot that was designed that like people were supposed to come to a long time ago. Right after you finish Medaya, you come to Basham, and it was like a reasonable grind zone that you could do back in the day. Sadly, it hasn't been updated very much. Yeah, there are new things that drop there, but again, the mob density isn't there. The combat and skill EXP aren't particularly good there. It's just not a super solid spot. I'm not really going to recommend it. Silver per hour is again lower than most of the Atanis spots, and if you're gonna grind somewhere that is kind of like Basham's, you might as well just go to Blood Wolves or somewhere where the pity drops or the potion drops. Another spot that is actually phenomenal that a lot of people don't go to is called Prodi Cave. This is actually an underwater grind zone. Really solid silver per hour, absolutely beautiful aesthetic. Problem is trying to get to it as a new player is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. It does drop the Atanis element, which is extremely good. Most new players are not going to be able to get out to this island very easily. I think the best way to get out here is as a new player, you hit F3, you go to loyalties, and then you buy a, there should be a cog in here somewhere that you can buy. Yeah, so it's 1,000 loyalties, and you can get a cog and you should be able to sail out and back. Alternatively, you can buy a fishing boat off the marketplace, or you can get an Etheria sailboat off the market, whatever, to try to sail out there. But it is going to be a little bit difficult to get there. Cons. Pros, no one else can get there either. So very few people are going to interrupt you. It's a really solid Atanis spot, and I strongly recommend it. It's actually really solid combat and skill EXP. I did it for a lot of my infinite potion grind back in the day too, and it's only gotten better since then. So this is actually, believe it or not, a lot of the Atanis spots that are the most difficult to get to make the highest silver per hour in most cases. So as a new player, you should kind of grasp this concept in your head. For these low-end grind zones, the harder and the less accessible the spot is, usually the better silver per hour it is as a general rule. Now, this isn't always the case, as we will get to in a moment. The two worst spots in the entire game. Now, I know what you're thinking is that Bassy Den, Party of 3, group grind zone. Awesome, I can play with my friends as a new player. No, you can't. Okay, if you want to play in a party of 2 or a party of 3 as a new player and play with your friends, you are unironically better off grinding a spot like Crescent Shrine and all of you just killing mobs and picking up loot at the same time. No, the loot is not shared, but you will still make more silver per hour than you will at a spot like Bassy Den. The developers have basically nuked this spot into the ground. It was really good a long time ago. They made it a party 3. They made it a party of 3. And it's terrible. It is arguably the worst, honestly, unarguably, probably the worst silver per hour in the entire game. Do not go here. Even with your friends, it is not a good idea. If you want to grind in a party with your friends, I explained this. Gahaz is a pretty solid for that early game. Crescent Shrine is pretty solid for that early game. But usually when you want to talk about early game grinding with your friends, you're going to Miramok every time. Miramok is a group grind zone, party of 2 to 3. This is where you're going to come. And it's not particularly fun, though, because you're just going to stand in one spot and one-shot the mobs. Sadly, it's not a very well-designed grind zone. Basically, the mobs just spawn, you kill them, and then the mobs spawn again, and you kill them. It's not particularly fun. If you want to have more fun with your friends, then you go to Seasonal Arsha, and you go to Gahaz, or you go to Seasonal Arsha, you go to Crescents. And most of the cases, Gahaz will be better, because it's more accessible for people. Now, so don't grind Bassy Den. The other spot you do not want to grind that is also a party of 3 is Waragon Nest. This is a spot that nobody even knows exists. Most people watching in my audience probably didn't even know, like, wait, what is that place? Yeah, don't even worry about it. It's not even on the radar. You maybe go there for the knowledge and you never go back. It is again, Bassy and Waragon are fighting to be the worst spot in the game. It is, I'm pretty sure it might be negative silver per hour. It might be negative silver per hour. The last time I checked, it was. Let's do global grind. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Yep, there it is right there. You cannot make this up. Negative 30 million silver per hour at Waragon's Nest. Negative 30. And like, I want to be clear, most of the time, again, you don't trust this number, but the number is actually accurate in this case. You will spend more money on consumables and loot scrolls than you will actually getting drops at this grind location. It is totally ass. Okay. And you'll notice that the spot right above it, Bassy Den. This, you cannot pop loot scrolls at Basilisk Den. It is a spot in the game that does not allow loot scrolls, so you can't increase the drop rate. It is locked at 71 million silver per hour. No matter what you do, you are going to make basically the same silver per hour no matter what. Okay? Because it spawns on like the mobs spawn on a you're standing in a tower and the mobs just keep spawning. Basically, that's all it is. Just like Miramok, but like if you wanted to hurt yourself in game, right? It's terrible, it's horrible. Don't go there. All right. Now the best silver per hour for a new player. Best silver per hour for a new player. And I have individual grind guides for these two spots, by the way. I have individual spots for Gahaz and Centaurs. You are not grinding for your infinite potion at all here. Okay, there is no Atanis, and there is no raw drops from here. However, it is the highest silver per hour. Again, if you want to grind for your infinite potion, I recommend Atanis, and again, one of the desert spots that I just recommended there. If you want to buy your potion off the infinite or off the marketplace, or maybe you don't care as much about your potion up front, you're going to want to grind one of these 2 locations I'm about to explain. Gahaz is a great spot if you want to come here as a duo spot and grind here on Arsha. The scroll drop rate here is really high. The BMC, Black Magic Crystal drop rate here is also extremely high. And it's just a really solid spot, silver per hour wise, really solid for new players. But again, a lot of new players choose not to go there, mainly because it just doesn't help you with the Atanis elements. It is really solid silver per hour though. You can't go wrong. What about Sulfur Pila? I will do that last. Centaurs. This is when you ask a veteran player where a new player should be grinding, they're going to tell you Centaur's Herd. And it's because they're lying to you. As we discussed before, a lot of veteran players are complete morons and don't understand how much silver per hour a new player is actually going to be making, or how Centaur's Herd actually operates. They're just going to tell you, hey, go to Centaurs as a new player, you'll make 1.2 billion silver an hour. This is not going to happen. Centaurs is going to be marginally better than the other spots, 450 to 550 million an hour. It will be slightly better than your Atanis spots mostly overall, but not particularly like crazy better. You also don't get any combat or skill EXP for the most part. Again, you get no infinite potion, but you get slightly better silver per hour as a new player. You are not going to be making 1 billion silver per hour. It is not going to happen. You don't have a crystal setup that costs 10 to 15 billion silver. You don't have like the perfect skill presets. You don't understand your movement rotation, your skill rotation, or any of that stuff, as well as an end game player is. And you don't like, again, I go over this. I have a grind guide for this spot, so it goes over all the different grind spots or like the rotations here and stuff. It's a solid grind zone, and it's uncontestedly, it's pretty much the best silver per hour for a newer player in Tuvala gear. But I don't know, it's not as good as it once was, and a lot of people like to over-exaggerate how much money you're actually making here. And no, there's also people that are morons that will tell you that Valkyrie is also really good at grinding here. That's because, again, they're stupid and they haven't actually updated themselves in a really long time. Valkyrie used to be much, much better at grinding this location back before they nerfed the Valkyrie mechanic. They have since nerfed the Valkyrie mechanic and changed how that class works. It's not, I mean, it's still okay at Centaurs. It's not nearly as good as it used to be back in the day. And you would know that if you were an Awakening Valkyrie that tried to grind here. It's just cooked. The best spot, the best classes in the game at Centaurs I cover in the guide, so I'm not going to go over here. Okay, now. What? Oh, yeah. Pila and Sulfur. All right, so this is all on seasonal gear, all right? If you're a seasonal player, or you're a player that is finished grinding for their infinite potion, or maybe you don't care about your infinite potion, but you want to grind for another treasure map, okay, or a treasure item in the game, the Archaeologist map is a good option, okay? And as a new player, the Archaeologist map will drop in 2 locations. You'll get 2 map pieces from one location, you get 2 map pieces from another location. The first spot is called Pilaku. You'll notice that it is way out here in the middle of nowhere, okay? Like, you are literally you gotta trek it, okay? So if you are interested in making the map, I recommend doing the Magnus relatively early, getting to Sulfur Mine, which we'll talk about in a second. A little bit easier from the Magnus, that's fine. But if you want to do this, and then maybe you're interested in doing like getting the Compass as well, I would strongly recommend going for a Unicorn as your first T9 horse. And if you don't have a Unicorn, it's going to cost you a long time. If you try to cross the desert on a camel from either Valencia and the Magnus or from Sandcrine Bazaar, it's going to take a minute to get to Pilaku Jail. All right, it is a little rough. It is a little rough, okay? So, Pilaku Jail, fantastic grind zone overall, to be honest. You need to make sure you're grinding on Arsha here. Your drop rate is going to matter tremendously. Silver per hour definitely going to be a little bit lower than the normal Atanis spots that you would find in Valencia, but still stronger than the infinite potion spots in a good amount of cases. Pilaku drops a lot of scrolls, so you're going to get a lot of memory fragments here. In my opinion, I think that Fogans is a better grind zone. If you're going to grind for scrolls specifically, I think that Fogans is a better go-to. You're going to have stronger combat and skill EXP there. You're going to have stronger silver per hour there. And overall, it's just going to be a better experience for you there. Pila Ku, just to note, you're not going to run into the desert debuff at Pila Ku. It's out of the way enough that you're not going to have to worry about that. And you're indoors there, which is pretty cool. You will probably have a lot of PvP if you're on Arsha there, as there's only like one particular grind zone. There's 2 rotations at maximum. One is significantly better than the other one, and you need the map to drop from 2 specific mobs. So reasonable silver per hour, but you're like, wait, what does the archaeologist map do? Okay, good question. The archaeologist map allows you to map to town. But Blue, that's what the traveler map does. True. You can map to town from anywhere in the game. But what the archaeologist map allows you to do is that for 30 minutes after you TP to town, for 30 minutes, you can click in the top right of your screen, you'll teleport right back to where you were. Let me show you how this is useful. This is useful for like if you're grinding and you want to dump off all your trash loot. You can basically repair your gear, rebuff yourself, get a house buff again, and then map right back to where you are and keep grinding. Not bad. But the most important use in the game is for the best grind zone in the game, and that's Hackhaven Island. So you'll notice that right here, I'm standing on a boat. I am way out in the middle of nowhere. I'm at Hackhaven Island. Okay, I am way in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and what I'm doing out here is I'm AFK fishing. I don't know how many fish I actually have. I don't have very much fish. Okay, but I will demonstrate it for the audience. This is called the archaeologist map here. You'll notice I have an archaeologist map and I have a traveler's map. Okay, archaeologist map first. Okay, now you'll notice that I end up, now I'm on Kato Inner Harbor. Now what, Blue? No problem. Now I'm going to traveler's map to Valencia City. All right. All right, so now we're at the Magnus. Now we're going to go all the way across the world to the other side of the Black Desert universe. Okay, so I can repair my rod here. I can walk over to the fishing vendor. And guys, keep in mind, I was fishing. This is the corner of the world. I was fishing all the way where my boat icon is there. And now I'm on the other side of the world. This is good because fishing gives you a trading bonus on the other side of the world. Okay, so I didn't have very many fish, so it's not that much money. And I know what you're thinking. What do you mean it's not a lot of money? I was not joking before when I said that the fishing grind was the best one. Okay, 555 mil, boom, in the bank, easy peasy. Then you'll notice in the top right of your screen, there's actually a flashing icon called the Return of the Archaeologist. This is the Archaeologist map. I can simply click this button. And we're back at my boat again. And you can do that for 30 minutes. Okay, and we're back AFK fishing again. All right, that's why the archaeologist map is particularly useful. That's what you'll see players use it for most commonly here. Yeah, it's a massive quality of life increase. Again, it's got a plethora of uses. It's got a 4-hour cooldown, but it's pretty low, all things considered. How long would it take to get the artifacts? I'll cover that in a second. It's a good question. It's a great question, actually. Okay, so Pila Ku. So again, we talked about the silver per hour here. I would say it takes about 30 hours to get each piece of the map. Okay, assuming that you have solid drop rate, but you need to be on Arsha with a solid drop rate. And if you're during like a drop event and stuff, it'll be about 30 hours. If there's no drop rate event and you're not on Arsha, you're looking at 50 to 70 hours per map piece. Okay, keep in mind, you can get duplicates of the same map piece. So like you can get 4 of one map piece before you get the other one. It's a little rough. Okay, it can be a little rough. But like 30 hours per map piece isn't particularly bad. It should take you about as long as the potion is. About as long as the potion takes overall. But there's 4 pieces of this instead of 3. So like it'll take you a little bit longer than the potion, but each piece will take you about as long as a normal potion piece would. Okay, now the other place is Round Sulfur Works. This is not in the desert, so you don't have to worry about the desert debuff. You don't even have to worry about riding through the desert, so you can get here on a Doom or a Pegasus just fine, no big deal. You don't have to worry about the camel, like I said before. Round Sulfur, I would say, again, you're making minimal silver per hour here. This is not a particularly great spot. It's like 400 million an hour. The scroll drop right here is kind of mid. The Blackstone drop here is lower than I would consider it. Most of the other really like Cadres or Nagas, right? Like it's okay. It's like silver per hour wise, guys, I'll be honest, it's not it. And neither is Pila for the most part. Pila is a little bit better than Sulfur in certain aspects, but both of them are kind of like not great. And it's designed that way because you're grinding for a treasure piece. So that's your punishment for getting the treasure piece that you will have on your account permanently. So like you're struggling with it, but like you're sacrificing a little silver per hour, but you're able to get the treasure, like the map, right? So that's sulfur. Again, it's about 30 hours per piece, depending on which rotation you're doing and how much drop rate you have. I'd say it's like 30 to 50 hours. Okay. That, I believe, are all the low-end spots in the game. Those are all of the spots that you can do with Tuvala gear. I don't think I missed any. Like, you're basically looking, like, before transitioning at all, you just have pen Tuvala. Those are the spots that you can do. All right, now we're going to look at the early to mid-game spots, okay? And again, I already started talking a little bit about this, so now I'm going to start breaking down each of the spots individually. We'll start with the lowest of the three spots, Akhman. Akhman is the easiest, between Akhman, Histria, and Kratuga. Akhman is the easiest to approach as a player coming out of Tuvala gear and starting to get your guaranteed boss gear. You will get your pen Black Star very quickly, so again, once you have your deck Tuvala and your pen Black Stars, you should be able to do Akhman, Histria, and Kratuga pretty reasonably, assuming you understand your class pretty well, but you're probably going to need more DP as you go. It's really going to come down to DP at the end of the day. Akhman is really solid scroll drop rate. You're also going to be grinding for what we call a compass. Lathi Bed Mountains upgraded compass. Now, for those of you that don't know, I grinded for this for 4 years and never got it. Now I have 2 of them because I'm a dedicated soldier. But this is a compass that will always show you where you are in the middle of the desert. It'll also allow other party members to teleport to your location. If you do exclamation point Elton, you can see me getting the piece. It was a long time ago now. And the exclamation point Elton 2, I think, is the second one. There are 3 pieces that drop the compass. Now, I will tell you this, that if you're somebody that likes to grind for treasure items, because you got both infinite potions, you got your map, and now you're going to go for your compass, I will warn you, the compass is easily the hardest of the 4, okay? Between the infinite HP and mana potions, the map, and the compass is easily the hardest of the 4. It's not even close. That being said, the Akhman piece is basically given to you as a participation award for grinding there. So if you're grinding at Akhman for the compass piece, you'll probably get it in the first like 20 hours that you grind there. It's a piece of cake. Okay, the Akhman piece is a joke. All right, you just go there, I get it. You just grind there, no big deal. And Akhman is actually really solid silver per hour overall. It's definitely going to be better than any of the spots that we've talked about previously. And any of those like seasonal spots, Akhman is pretty much going to outcompete all of them. Even Centaurs, in my opinion, in most cases, for a player that's actually graduating up to Akhman. So really solid place to grind there. Definitely recommend it, especially if you're going to grind for your compass. You're going to have to be there. There are several different rotations at Akhman that you can do. The reason I'm mousing over the desert right now is I'm actually going to show you when you guys want to grind at these locations, like particularly Akhman and Histria, you're going to have to go out into the desert. You're going to have to either find a portal. I think you're going to have to find it. Yeah, they changed it recently where I think that you can guaranteed go to the location that you want, because there's a guaranteed entrance location for both Akhman and Histria. The guaranteed entrance for Histria is over here in this like crag. Okay, it's like you have to basically ride all the way across the desert, drop down into the crag, and then you'll see it. It's in there. You cannot go in there with your mount, so even though they told us that was going to be a thing like forever ago. You can't go in there with your mount. Just heads up. The Akhman one is over here. Basically, you ride northeast of Sandgrain Bazaar. You go around the big rock face, and then you kind of loop back over because there's a big rock place. You can get through this if you know how to like kind of finagle it. You can get through here, but like that's where the entrance to Akhman is, right there. Alternatively, you can roll the dice on it. If you don't care which plot you're going to grind out and you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you can look for a portal in the desert. Okay, and if you're a new player and you were exploring Valencia for the first time, you probably ran into one of these portals while you were going. Basically, the portals will send you to either Akhman or Histria, okay, depending on how the portal looks. I'm going to show you the general, like, if you have a unicorn, you want to try to probably do this, in my opinion. It's kind of fun. You ride up here, okay, you start at Sandgrain Bazaar, you ride up, you ride around, you ride out. This is Ilabab Oasis right here as a landmark, okay? Whoops. Okay, you ride up and around the backside of Ilabab Oasis. You kind of come down, you shoot back across, and then you head back. This is the most efficient portal rotation in the game. Okay, for how you want to do it. You can extend it and come out across the desert over here and then start to loop back over here. That's fine, but there are less portals that spawn over there. That being said, most people just go through the guaranteed entrances, and they're kind of difficult to get to, especially Histria. Now, Histria. 2 of the 3 compass pieces drop from Histria. One of them is the Vodkin piece. That is certainly the one that you're going to get first. You're going to have a lot of Vodkin pieces. It's not going to, like, you're going to have more of them than you can count, all right, if you're grinding for the compass. In theory, you should have 10 Vodkin pieces before you get 1 Elton piece, but that's not always how it works. Okay. The Elton piece is easily the rarest of the 3. So you go into Histria. Histria is the first time where you're going to have to actually do stuff at the grind. So you can't just one-shot everything. You can, but it's going to be less efficient normally. Especially if you're like in Tuvala mainly, or you don't have crazy high AP, you're not going to be one-shotting anything. If you do have your pen black stars and stuff, you could just one-shot the mobs and just run around. You can just do that if you have enough AP to do that. But like for the most part, you're gonna have to learn how to pull mobs together and actually back attack stuff and start to learn your combo a little bit. It's not as much like that anymore. Like a lot of new players can just run up there. You've got reasonable crystals at this point. You've got your pen black stars. They're just gonna kill 3 of the mobs, run to the next pack, kill 3 of the mobs. But you'll start to learn when you get to Histria, the mobs are not grouped up in tight little bunches like they were in every other grind zone, like at Akhman or any of the other grind zones we've talked about. They're not like that. The idea is that you have to pull them all together, then kill them all, move to the next pack, pull them all together, and then kill them all. It's usually how you're supposed to do it. And the Elton piece, if you're looking for like a timeline on Akhman and Histria and like the upgraded compass, I would say Akhman 20 hours. Histria, you'll probably get the Vodkin piece in about 20 hours. The Elton piece at Histria, the average for the Elton piece at Histria, depending on whether or not you're grinding on what your drop rate is. It's going to depend heavily on what your drop rate is. The Elton piece is the hardest piece. It drops from Eltons and Boltons. They added Boltons a few years ago. Drops from Eltons and Boltons, if you want to know. Okay, Vodkin only drops from the Vodkins, but there are a lot more Vodkins. So, and the Elton piece is much rarer in terms of drop rate. It's 0.0005% drop rate on that piece. I would say it's going to be about 300 hours. You need to buckle down for about 300 hours if you're a newer player, if you're going to grind for that, just for the Elton piece. Okay. And again, this is, I might be like, there's some people that 1,000 hours, they still don't have it. I grinded for 2,000 hours. Got one. Okay. It can blast you. Now, I will tell you that most of my hours were put in before they added like a tremendous amount of drop rate to the game. Nowadays, there's drop rate events, Arsha, loot scrolls, and then every other like drop buff in the game. You should be able to get your drop rate much higher now. And so I'm factoring that in. You should be able to get your Elton piece in a less than 300 hours or so. If you're really lucky, you'll get it in under 100 hours. The average is probably 200 to 300 hours, in my opinion. Okay. And that's close to 300% drop rate though. Okay. And again, you could go for 1,000 hours and not get it. That's the hardest of the treasure pieces to get. And arguably the least important. The map is extremely useful. Both infinite potions are extremely useful. The compass is like it's like a vanity item. It's really solid for PvP, but that doesn't really exist anymore. But it's cool to have. It's cool to have. We'll talk about the telescope later when I get to those spots. Now, if you don't want to grind either of the 2 treasure spots, those are both, by the way, History is silver per hour, really good. Scroll drop rate, the highest that you'll find so far. Of all the spots that we've talked about so far, History has the highest scroll drop rate. Really, really high. Okay, it's also got BMCs coming out of its booty. Okay, so black magic crystals, crazy good. Also drops a lot of blackstones too. History is fantastic silver per hour, and it's an Agris spot. All of the spots we've talked about so far, for the most part, are all Agris on, grind them. And I'll be honest with you guys, if you're a new player watching this guide, or even a returning player, you're wondering which spots are Agris, I don't know. Guys, I'm just going to be honest. Just turn on your Agris no matter where you're grinding. I know, hot take, but this is what most people do. Okay, you're probably not going to go, like most players are probably not going to be grinding for 10 hours a day. It's the truth. Okay, most players, like if you're grinding in an Agris efficient spot like Histria or like the like Desert Nagas or Desert Fogans, you're probably not going to be grinding for long enough that the Agris is really going to be able to deplete. Even if you miss a day, your Agris is going to be so high, you're just not going to be able to use it all. So what most players do is they will just turn on, they won't tell anyone this, but when they grind, no matter where it is, Even if it's something like Gif and Raza Underground, where it's like the least efficient Agris in the game, they just turn it on and use all their Agris. Doesn't matter. Because they're not going to go to an Agris efficient spot and grind somewhere else. And just because it's efficient for their Agris. Now, if you grind all the time and you're constantly out of Agris, okay, well then, yeah, you should worry about what's an Agris efficient spot, in which case you can go ahead and look that up. For the most part, all the low-end spots are flip your Agris on and you'll be great. Okay. Achman and Histria are also like this, particularly Histria. Actually, is Achman an Agris spot? I don't know if base Achman is an Agris spot, but Histria definitely is. And it's one of the most Agris efficient spots in the game for low-end players. Craptuga. I love how no one actually knows if Achman is I'll look it up. No one actually knows. Achman. Agris. Yeah. So you're supposed to pop your Agris, and this is how you check, by the way, to see if something's an Agris spot. You just type in the name of the grind zone. Okay, and then it'll say Agris Fever. Boom, turn it on. That means you want Agris on at that spot. Okay. And then, okay, so now we're talking about Cratuga. Again, another Agris spot. These are all Agris on spots, okay? Cratuga is a spot in the game that is controversial. I would say that it is more silver per hour than Achman and Histria, but you're not grinding for any of the treasure pieces. So it's also still difficult to get to. It's not as hard to get to as Achman or Histria, in my opinion, but like you still have to go to Medaya. You have to have an entrance token. You have to have like one of those plate things. You can buy these off the market, I think. Actually, no, you can't buy the plates off the market. You have to have those. But you can get in with a Black Spirit Claw, which you can buy off the marketplace the first time. Then after you grind there one time, you should have the entrance. Like there's a drop there that like is like the entrance totem that you use. You stand in front of the door and it opens. Okay, you're good. Okay. Alternatively, you can just play Sage, which is the main character of the video game anyway. So yeah, Sage just gets into these spots for free. So he's good to go. Again, highest silver per hour of the three like early to mid game spots with 600 gear score. Really solid, but you're not running for a treasure piece. That's about all that needs to be said about Cratuga. I will also say that Cratuga requires the most DP of the three spots, and I covered them in order that way. Achman is the first approachable one coming out of seasonal. Histria is going to require more DP than Achman will, but not like crazy, but it is going to require more DP than Achman. And then Cratuga requires the most DP of the three. It's not even close. Cratuga will kill you if you are not equipped to deal with it. Okay. Most veteran players don't understand this because they have enough DP. It doesn't matter. And they go to grind Cratuga and because they just don't care. They're just one-shotting on the mobs. But if you're like a 600 gear score player, those mobs are going to hurt. Just as a heads up. You should itemize your crystals and get DP accordingly. Okay? Right around the time that you can do Cratuga and stuff, and this is misleading, there's Sakraya Upper and Sakraya Lower. Sakraya Upper is where dreams go to die. Okay? Sakraya Upper is where you go in your Tuvala gear. You can one-shot all the mobs, and you're trying to grind for what usually amounts to the Rich Merchant ring piece. Okay? That's usually what people are there for. It also is really good combat EXP and skill EXP. Believe it or not, Sakraya Upper has some of the better combat and skill EXP in the game. Really good. But the silver per hour is almost 0. Okay, it's very, very low. Lower Sakraya, though, really cool aesthetic. It's underwater, so you literally have to dive under the water. You basically map to Elvia Island. Here, I'll show you how to get there real quick. Okay, you map from Velia. You can map straight to Elvia. You run around Elvia to the back of the island. Okay, usually you have to come around this way to the back of the island, and then you swim out into the water until your map in the top right changes. It'll tell you. You see how it says Velia, affiliated node Velia? It'll say underwater Sakraya here, and then you can just escape, and it'll put you in underwater Sakraya. That's the best way to do it. Okay. Anyway, once you go, like that'll teleport you to upper Sakraya. You can get to lower by just going through the doorway with the pieces. Okay, I'm not going to get into how to do that necessarily. Okay, so lower Sakraya is pretty good. That's where you get the Frenzy Drought. And to be clear, Frenzy Droughts and Spirit Perfume Elixir are usually the best like silver per hour like consumables that you should be using up until this point in the game. Okay, right around Serendia, like Serendia Elvia, once you get to Honglim base, that's when you want to transition to using like Harmony Droughts and stuff. That's when you want to start like upgrading your consumable stuff. But until you get there, like again, if you're grinding at Kratuga or Serendia, Elvia, or any of those mid-game spots, or even like Giants, you can do like basically just Corrupted Frenzies with Spirit Perfume and be just fine. You don't need to pop Harmonies if you don't want to. You will grind faster, though, with human-based Harmony Droughts at places like Giants, though. But yeah, Underwater Sakraya is really solid silver per hour. Very, very competitive with Hystria. Very competitive with Kratuga. Some people call it Craptuga, but they're memeing, right? Really, really good. And people like Zephian spent their entire career down there and got to 790 gear score. So that's fun. Some people grind there for until they have 2 children and a wife. You know, it is what it is. The zone, a lot of players start to really hit, and it like this is the first place where you're really going to lock in and put in a tremendous amount of hours. You're looking at, you need like 269 AP, which isn't very hard once you have the Pen Black Stars, like at least 269 AP, but like you put on the Pen Black Stars, you're already over that with Tuvala, so it doesn't really matter anymore. Okay, but the DP is what you need. Okay, so we're going to focus on DP here because I'm just assuming that you have the AP to do these spots because Jaehee Kim keeps giving all new players, they just keep throwing AP at you. Yeah, like they're like Oprah with AP. You get a black star! You get a black star! Everybody gets black stars! Yay! Okay, so like they're also giving you like Karazad and all of this crazy shit. It's really easy to get AP now. No big deal. No big deal. It used to be way harder. So when I talk about mid-game, guys, your limitation at these grind zones will almost always be DP. Okay, because you're going to have the AP because you're going to have Pen Black Stars. Okay, it's going to be disgusting. All right, and with the crystal setups nowadays and how they change skill add-ons, these spots are a joke to reach the AP and artifacts as well. Like most players can agree with me. These spots can be reached way earlier than they used to be reached, AP-wise. DP-wise, though, they can and will kill you. A lot of players will say that these spots can be done at lower AP levels when the simple fact of the matter is they can't because the new players will be farmed. Okay, I'm going to recommend these spots to you based on what your DP is and your chance of dying. Okay, please bear in mind that everyone... Bro, ninjas are the worst about this. Ninjas are like, I can grind underground Glyphon with 0 DP on. It's a complete joke. Okay. They're okay, and I try not to use that word very often, but they're okay. It's guys, all grind zones are totally fine. Everything is chill until it's not. All right. So like when I talk about having the DP to grind at a particular grind zone, yeah, 95% of the time it's gonna be comfy. I'm talking about the 5% of the time where you actually just like you zoned out or you didn't do the mechanic correctly or whatever. And are you going to get one shot? How frequently are you going to die? Because when you die in this game, you're going to lose crystals. Crystals are negative silver per hour. You lose the wrong crystal, they're boom, minus a bill. You just lost an hour of your life. It's miserable. Okay. So these grind zones must be done with at least 330 DP. And that's pretty low. 330 DP. Okay, that's what you need. That's what you're aiming for. So to come out of Kratuga, and Kratuga requires something like 320, 310. Like 310, 320 at least. Probably 320 in my opinion for Kratuga. You graduate to the mid-game spots when you hit 330 to 350 DP. Okay, now what are the best mid-game spots in the game? This is where this guide is going to differ from my other guide because new grind zones have come out and now everybody grinds at the exact same spot in the mid-game, which we're going to cover here in a second. For those of you that don't know, there's something in the game called Serendia Elvia. Okay, and this used to be the best mid-game grinding in the game. People used to talk about orcs. People used to talk about Baragi Den. They used to Castle Ruins is kind of a joke now. That's supposed to be a party grind. As a new player, if you walk around idle normally, okay, there's people standing here. Okay, if you reach up to the top right of your screen, you click on Elvia Realm. Okay, you click this, boom. It's going to take you to kind of an instanced realm, but other people can join it too. Okay, so everybody has access to this, but like it's really only for grinding like these mid-tier mobs. And notice that everybody disappears. Oh my god, nobody's here. But like other people can be here with you. There's some loser's horse. There's this guy over here who's doing weird things. Okay, that guy's autopathing. This is also a great realm for autopathing because no one's really here in this realm ever. But that's how you get to Elvia. So when I'm talking about Elvia of a certain location, that's how you kind of get here. Really accessible for most players. Serendia Elvia used to be the best mid-game money in the game, right? We used to recommend grinding at Elvia Orcs is a big spot. Baragi Den is a good spot. They're really solid silver per hour, really solid EXP, really solid skill EXP. Can't really go wrong. Kind of just a good all-around grind zone, and that's where you go. Serendia Elvia is where you go to get those accessory cups nowadays. The add-ons for your accessories, we call them cups, but they're really enchantments for your accessory. You put them on your accessory and they add certain effects to your accessories. Okay. Nowadays, people just buy these off the market in most cases. Or there is an event that rolls around pretty frequently where you drop these and you can grind any grind zone in the game. And as long as you have 200 of these, you can turn them in for whichever one you want. Okay. Some of these cups are for the belt. Some of these cups are for the earrings. Some of these cups are for the rings, etc. These are the rings right here. And they'll give you different enhancements and stuff. But this is where you come if you want those accessory drop rates. Or you want those like accessory add-ons. Okay, but you're going to have to grind at 2 of the Elvia spots in order to get 1 add-on. Okay? Or in order to get 1 cup for your accessory. So for example, you have to grind Orcs and Baragi Den. Okay, you need 100 of the thing that drops at Orcs. Like 100 of the red shards or whatever, and then you need 100 of the yellow shards in order to put them together and make 1 cup. All right, so people lie to you about how much silver per hour you're making at Elvia Orcs and Baragi and things like this because they are factoring in like, hey, they're counting the shards as money. The simple fact of the matter is when you grind at Orcs, the red shards that you're going to get there are completely useless unless you invest time into grinding one of the other grind zones. Okay, so unless you intend on grinding another grind zone, those don't count as money at all. Okay, you cannot count those. And again, this is another instance where Garmoth and the player base is going to lie to you about how much silver per hour you're going to make. So if you're grinding there and you want to do things yourself, you want to make things yourself, this is where you grind for your cups. Okay, if you want to grind for blue shards, particularly, in my opinion, the Fogans are the best. The Swamp Fogans are the best for blue shards. Okay. You could also solo altar imps is a reasonable spot. That's what a lot of people like to do. Okay, but I think the Fogans is the best. Okay, for yellow shards, I would say that I particularly like Nagas because no one's ever at Nagas. But I'll be honest with you, Baragi is definitely the best for yellow shards. But no one's ever, like I can grind the like Serendia Nagas on Arsha with no one interrupting me because no one is there. Okay, so like it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Okay. Baragi is the best for yellow shards, I believe. What is this? Bloody Monastery is another really, really good spot. This is the highest. You're going to need 340, 350 DP to grind here for sure. Again, the DP is, the AP, not really a thing, but you're going to need a lot of DP to grind here because the mobs will one-shot you when you pop a bunch of bells, which is one of the mechanics of the grind zone that I'm not going to get into. The yellow shard drops here. So really good for the yellow shard. Would still recommend Baragi because there's less gear requirement there. There's less gear requirement. Overall, silver per hour, it should match Baragi, but here's the thing. I'm just going to level with you. If you're a mid-game player, there's only really one option nowadays where you need to go at like 330 DP. Okay, and it's not any of these spots. Okay, the best silver per hour in the game, hands down. If you're just looking at silver per hour and just overall efficiency, it's Hong Lim base every single time. It is literally one of the best grind zones in the entire game. It requires basically as much gear requirement as maybe Orcs would, maybe even a little less in some areas. It's a tower spot, so it doesn't require very much APM. You don't have to worry about efficiency too much because the mobs spawn on kind of a timer. It's not really that big of a deal. You just sit there. It's super chill. This is the spot. I'll be honest, there is no other spot in the game because the developers have buffed Hong Lim base like 8 times. It is now the only place to grind for mid-game grinders, in my opinion. Around the 330 DP marker is where you can start grinding this, and you will not stop grinding this until you move to Dehkia. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Okay, this is the state of Black Desert. Some people really like it, some people don't like it. You don't really have options as to where you want to go. If you're asking, well, Blue, what's the best place to grind for my cup upgrades on my accessories? Literally Hong Lim base and then just buy them off the marketplace. Not even joking right now. Where's the best place to get Coffers? Honglim base and just buy the Coffer stones. Where's the best place to get Distos? Well, Honglim base and buy the Distos. Although you're not going to build Distos anymore. Okay, everything needs essence. Yep. Where's the best place to get essence? Honglim base. Okay. Now, I will say this. Again, 330 DP is like the minimum for Honglim base. I do think I would recommend you need to be at least 340, in my opinion, for Honglim. You can do orcs at like 330, and it's going to hurt, but you should be fine. You can do like Baragi at like 330. It's going to hurt, but it should be fine. If you come to Honglim at 330 DP, it's going to hurt and you probably will die. If you come here at 340, it's going to hurt and you might die, but it's going to be lower. 350, you start feeling a lot more comfortable. 360, all right, now you're just cruising. And so again, at this point in the game, you're looking at, what's the gear score we're looking at here, guys? What do you think, like 285 AP, because they have Pen Black Stars, and Pen Tuvala gives them like 281, right? So if they do their journals and they do all the other stuff, 285 I think is reasonable. They'll probably have more than that anyway. Plus 340 DP. So we're looking at about 630 gear score or so. Yeah, that's what I thought. About 630 gear score or so. This is where you want to start coming. And then you're going to grind. And again, that's low. That's low. More DP, the better at this spot. The more DP you have, the better, because that doesn't have a particularly high AP requirement, but the DP requirement will blast you if you're not careful. So you can grind at what is Kortuga, then go to Orcs for like a little while, or Baragi for a little while, get some DP together, or just keep grinding at Histria and then like get some DP together. And once you're at like 340, 350 DP, just start pumping Honglim until you are 785 gear score. I mean, but I'm also like not joking a little bit. Okay, so you're going to grind this spot from about 640 or so gear score, 630, 640 gear score, until you hit around 720 gear score. Not even joking. Okay. The other, I'll explain the other options to you. Okay. At this time. Okay. So yeah, two other mid-game spots that you can do and are possible are Jade Starlight Forest. This is where your second flame is going to drop. Your Labreska helmet flame will drop at Jade. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably one of my favorite grind zones in the entire game. You want to have the music on there too. It's really fun. The aesthetic there, the Guardian spawns, it's really fun. It's an Agris spot as well. Super, super fun grind spawn. Still griefing yourself if you compare it to Honglim. However, you need a lot less DP to grind Jade. I would say, again, 330 DP is reasonable for Jade Forest. You're still going to need some DP, but it's not as much as Honglim. Right? Once you're at 340, 350 DP, it's Honglim and you're cruising. And you just buy everything that you need, basically. But if you want to do it yourself, Jade Forest is a good option. Things you're never doing. Mom, I want to grind winter tree fossils. Oh, no, he's... Okay, never. Taylor Swift, ever are you doing this spot. Okay, do not do winter tree fossil. Technically, mid-game grind zone. You cannot use loot scrolls or drop rate at this spot. It is some of the lowest efficiency in the game. Arguably negative silver per hour because you have to use energy at the spot. It's miserable. Mirror Walks Labyrinth. Also something that you can do once you start doing Jade Forest. But again, 330 DP minimum. You're really going to need like 340 for Mirror Walks. I've done more Mirror Walks than anyone. I almost guarantee I've done more Mirror Walks Labyrinth than any other content creator, at least. Because this is all I used to grind. And then I grinded here when it was terrible. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is terrible. But it is kind of fun. You can always do it on Arsha. It's a little solo grind zone where like you're technically grinding with other people. Basically, you go into the labyrinth and you're put in a room by yourself. And you just kill bugs. You just slaughter bugs until the queen spawns. Okay, and there are 5 other people, potentially 5 other people grinding with you in their own individual rooms. When the queen spawns, you all teleport to the queen. And if you're on Arsha, you get the really fun experience where you grind it for an hour to get that queen spawn, and then you spawn in at the queen, and your friends that are supposed to help you kill you, and then you don't get to do it. It's so much fun. But assuming that you're not me, and you don't just go to the queen and they kill you, all right? You spawn into the queen, you all kill the queen together, and you all get a bunch of loot and rewards for killing the queen. It's actually a very interesting grind zone. I wish that they gave it more attention. It's actually really fun. I really enjoy it. I recommend it for players that, you know, they kind of want to grind by themselves, don't necessarily want to rely on other people, but like also there's other people that are with you grinding as well that are helping you kind of get that queen spawn. It's a lot of fun, to be honest. It's just not super crazy efficient. It's another way to get your flame. I will tell you this, you're probably going to pity out the flame is more likely to drop at Jade as a raw drop. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are grinding for the flames proper, at Turos, the embers are much more common. The flame is much rarer. Okay, so you'll probably get it through the embers at Turos. At Jade, the flame is more common, but the embers are much less common. So like if you don't get the raw drop at Jade, it is a experience. Okay. And most people that have grinded Jade would know. But fortunately, it is a super entertaining and fun grind zone, very well designed. So like it's not like a miserable experience. Mirror Walks is also super fun and worth a try. If you like Jade, you might want to try Mirror Walk. Just make sure you're on Arsha because there's no reason not to be on Arsha for the most part. As long as you're not like a content creator and people aren't hunting you, you should be fine. But yeah, those are also mid-game grind zones that you can go to just before you get to Hong them. I will say as you reach about the 360 DP marker, another spot does open up for you that people have forgotten. Giants is pretty good. Okay. Once you hit about 360 DP, if you've had your fill of Hong them base already, or maybe you don't like Hong them, Giants is a really, really good option that a lot of people don't talk about, or maybe they underrate it as a grind zone. This is a phenomenal spot. It's an Elvia spot. You come down here. Again, you need to make sure you have about 360 DP, preferably with the Kabua's accessories on as well. And then you I'll tell you right now, you don't need 360 DP until you need it. Okay. The spot actually requires probably like 330, 320 until the boss spawns. And then you end up sitting on a casting couch with braces. Okay. So like, don't grind here and do the boss. If you like, don't grind, don't skip the boss. You need to do the boss. Okay. And if you're going to do the boss, he's going to one shot you unless you have 360 DP. It's just the truth. But it's a really solid grind zone. Really, really good drops there. A lot of people grind there. A lot of people used to grind there. It's less popular now because Honglim is so good. And a lot of people like to just sit there and not have to do anything and stand in front of a pillar. Primal Giant Post will have you moving around pack to pack a lot. There's a lot of pack to pack rotations there. So really, really solid grind zone. And that's the next spot that I would recommend that you go to if you're tired of Honglim or you don't want to grind there anymore. So right around 360 or so DP, guys, you can come to Underground Gyphon and be okay. I recommend having Kabua's artifacts on while you're doing this location. This is the best combat EXP in the entire game. Hands down. It is not close. The lower form of Gyphon Raza Underground. Best combat EXP in the entire game. It's also a super chill grind zone. It's really solid silver per hour, and I strongly recommend it for anyone that just wants to get levels on their character. If you like progressing your character through combat EXP, right? Like level 65, level 66, number up good. It's great for that. I believe that once you're like 360 DP or so, you're starting to worry about AP a little bit more. You have to actually start building AP. I would say you're getting close to 700-ish gear score. So now we're going to talk about, like, once you can do Giants, you can probably also do Ash Forest, and you can probably also do Olins and maybe not Crypt, but we'll talk about that in a second. Ash Forest is the other zone that you can go to grind for your Orzeka set that I showed you earlier. It is not good silver per hour. Based Ash Forest is nicknamed Ass Forest for a reason by the community. It is terrible. The only reason that you would go here is because the drop rate on the leaves is actually way, way better at Ash Forest than it is at Thornwood. So like Thornwood, you'll spend 3 times as much time grinding at Thornwood to get the same amount of petals or same amount of leaves. Okay. And same things for Turos versus Olins. If you do Olins, which we're going to talk about in a second, with a party, you will get 3 to 4 times as many leaves per hour for your chest piece for your Orzeka than you will get at Turos. Turos, you're basically flipping a coin and hoping that you get the raw drop. It's the drop rate on the leaves at Turos is extremely low. Okay, but you're rewarded for having more gear, but I'm telling you right now, you're not going to make much silver per hour. And anyone that says they're making silver per hour here is intentionally lying to you to be deceitful. Like, they are not your friend. Okay, I know I've done more Ash Forest hours than almost anyone. Okay. Turos, again, we talked about Turos. Olens is a group grind zone that you can approach once you're at about this APDP. Okay. Right around 660 gear score or so. 350, 360 DP. That's what you want for base Olens. I will warn you that you will get one shot by the arm if you don't understand the mechanic. So make sure you understand how the arm works. Or the one-shot mechanic works, because like when the Olin stands up, there's an animation where he punches the ground like this. He does like 3 or 4 different animations when he stands up. If he does the big wind-up and he punches the ground and you're in that area, it's got a really wide range too. You can be standing in Narnia, it'll still hit you. Do not be in front of the golem when that happens. It'll one-shot you, unless you have about 730 gear score. I wouldn't get one shot by it. But like, if you're doing this with 350, 360 DP, it absolutely will kill you. It's not even a question. If you're not careful. That being said, it's a super chill grind zone. It is the best party grind zone experience in the entire game. And if you're somebody that likes party grind zones, this is the best place to go. It is so much fun. The mechanics are really, really, really well designed. It is great silver per hour. I strongly recommend it. Even at base Olens is a fantastic experience. Hey Blue, what about the rest of the party grind zones in the game? That's the best part. There are none. Moving on. Okay. So those are kind of your options outside of Olens. That's it. Okay. You've got like, again, you Hong them. You've got 350, 360 DP. These extra spots kind of open up. And then once you reach like 380 DP, now you can do 380 DP, and I would say about 300 AP. 301 to 305 AP. Okay, sheet with Kudum. Don't give me this bullshit where it's like, oh, I have a bunch of buffs and I'm popping a simple crom meal and I have a harmony drop. Idiots. Bro, I'm talking about sheet stats. Okay, you need a sheet 301, sheet 305, okay, to do the spots I'm about to recommend to you. Okay, Elvia Calpheon. Elvia Calpheon. Right in this circle here. All right, really solid grind locations. I particularly like Trolls. Trolls is fantastic. Solo grind zone requires about 395 DP to do appropriately. Okay, if you don't get hit by the stamping of the troll, okay, if you don't frontal guard certain things there, you will die even with 400 DP. Okay, but if you frontal guard at the right time, you could get away with like 370 DP there. Okay, but you need to make sure you're frontal guarding at the right time. Not a good grind zone if you're a space cadet. Okay, if you space out while you're grinding and you're just kind of trying to go on autopilot, not super great. Okay, because like they will kill you. Hex Marie is also a spot. It's down here. Hex Marie is also a spot that a lot of people like to grind, or at least used to like to grind. It's solid silver per hour. It's overlooked by a lot of people because Hong them makes more money and requires less gear. I'm so sorry. It's true. And also, Hong them makes more money than Trolls in most cases as well. Except when the price of the yellow eggs, or whatever they're called. I don't know. Guys, what are they called? The yellow... crystallized despairs. That's right. Thank you, chat. When the price of crystallized despair is really good, Troll's good. Troll's good. All right. When the price of crystallized despair is totally ass, Troll's not so good. All right. Hex Marie, it's okay. It's okay. It requires a lot of DP to grind there. You're going to be able to grind there on Arsha because no one else is going to be there. So again, these spots you can grind on Arsha. No problem. You can grind Trolls on Arsha. You can grind Hex Marie on Arsha. You are not going to be grinding Hong them base. On Arsha. It's not going to happen. Okay? Because there are people, and I know there's going to be some people, oh, I do it. No, you don't. Okay? Because some like 790 gear score ninja is going to come gank you and shit on you because he knows that you have a small amount of gear score and he can just one-shot you. Okay, so like it's rough. If you so like I'm telling you right now, these spots you can do on Arsha, which will boost their efficiency overall and should bring them up in line with what you're making at Hongland, as long as you can do them on Arsha. Okay. Hong them versus Lower Gyphon. It's Hong them every time. We'll talk about why you would do Lower Gyphon in a second, as it's probably my favorite grind zone in the game. There's another spot down here called Abandoned Monastery. This is a party of 2 grind, where if you both hate yourself, say you're playing Kunoichi and your friend is playing Meiwa, and you both hate yourselves equally, your parents hate you too, and your life sucks, this is a great grind zone for you to help reinforce that behavior. Abandoned Monastery is a 2-person grind zone where you can, in fact, lose silver per hour if you don't get the event, okay? There is an event on this in Abandoned Monastery that rings a dinner bell, okay? It announces to the entire server that, hey, the event is going on, and you are guaranteed to get a Dawn Earring from the event, okay? Dawn Earring is now worth, on NA, it's worth 220 million silver. So what this means is, if you do this spot on Arsha, essentially, like, you get the event and you're like, sweet, an event, and your friend's like, okay, and then all of digital is like, hey guys, Abandoned Monastery event, let's go, and they all show up and they will take the event from you. They will literally farm you off and they will come kill you. It is a PvP, PvP is on during the event, okay? For all intents and purposes. People are going to come to the event. They're going to try to take it from you, and you're going to have to defend it. For some people, that is a super fun and entertaining grind zone, because you're basically getting that PvP on, always aware. Now, keep in mind, on a normal server, no one's going to come interrupt you in most cases, because karma it's not worth the karma loss to come kill you. But this spot is only really worth doing on Arsha. And if you really like that PvP always on, like, kind of mentality where, oh, somebody could come in, there's like a white dot, and I could get some PvP, this is a phenomenal grind zone for that. Okay, you're not going to make a crazy amount of silver per hour, but it will force people to come to your grind zone and PvP you, which can be fun for some people. Okay. Sonals is another spot that you can grind at in Elvia for Calpheon. It's not very good. It doesn't have very many mechanics. You basically just kill the mobs. It's not very hard. But, like, the silver per hour there is not super great. Okay, so now we're going to transition towards the end game grind zones. Okay, we're going to start talking about 710 plus gear score locations. All right, let's talk about end game zones. 700 to 710 gear score. Nowadays, you're talking about Dehkia 1, and you're talking about Ulukita. I'm just going to save you the trouble. This is going to be really easy. All of these spots make about the same silver per hour. The developers have designed it so that every single class in the game makes about the exact same amount of money, because they are all tower locations, and it really does not matter which one you choose to grind at. It doesn't. Some classes will be marginally better than others at some of the grind zones, but all of Dehkia 1, for the most part, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Ulukita, you can go to the oil fields, right? Tungrad? No, I consider Tungrad a step above Dehkia. We'll get to that in a second. Yazrid Highlands, if you're a Republican and you're about that drill, baby drill, or maybe you wear your Make BDO Great Again hats kind of deals. In BDO, Yazrid Highland is great. We nicknamed this the oil fields. You'll understand when you get there, they look like oil rigs. Maybe you could be a Democrat and pretend that you're going to kill the oil rigs and you're fighting for the environment. That's fine too. But, like, Yazrid is a great spot that a lot of people really like, as long as you do the mechanic correctly. It's reasonable. Honorable mention here, City of the Dead is total ass. Again, it's the City of the Dead people that grind there. Okay, they abbreviated it. Like, for real though, it's terrible. Don't come here unless you need your telescope. There's only one reason you grind City of the Dead at 700 to 710 gear score. That's because you need your telescope. The telescope allows you to teleport to a party member's location, so it's the opposite of the compass. Okay, opposite of the compass. It's another treasure grind zone. Moving on up the list, and again, Dehkia 1, I'm telling you guys, there's Dehkia 1 everything, pretty much, and, like, I'm sorry, but they're basically all exactly the same. Like, I mean, chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like people are gonna have their opinion on this, but like for the most part, it doesn't really matter. Why does this not? Oh, bubble. It doesn't really matter. They're all gonna drop debos. They're all gonna drop relatively the same stuff. I will say that the Dehkia, no, honorable mention, the Dehkia Valencia spots for like, there's Dehkia versions of Pilaku, there's Dehkia versions of Sulfur Mine. So if you didn't want to grind your map out as a new player, you can come here as a veteran player and make a lot more silver per hour here. It is less sulfur, and Pila Dehkia make less silver per hour than like Cadres or Crescents or whatever, or like Thornwood, but it's still like reasonable. These are 710 gear score spots. Yeah, I would say that these are about 710 gear score. Locations. Dehkia, you really don't want to come to Dehkia, Dehkia 1 until you have about 401 or higher DP. Okay. You got to have higher than 400 DP. Okay. And higher than 305 AP. Okay, so again, like 710. 710. Dehkia 1 was designed by the developers to be a stand there, and I'm just going to sit there and grind a tower spot. And then the developers had this great idea where everybody kept complaining about PvE balance. So they said to themselves, well, wait a minute. If we make tower locations where all of the mobs spawn at the exact same time for everyone, we don't have to balance anything because everyone is equal. So yeah, pretty much. Okay. Anywho, I'm not even going to go through each of the individual Dehkia 1 spots. It's not even worth it. I will basically just mouse over them here. Okay, so you have Akhman and Histria, Pilaku and Sulfur. Those are like the treasure pieces. Yes, they drop there. Yes, the treasure pieces drop there. Ash Forest, it has Dehkia 1 and Dehkia 2. Solid, but again, not super great. It's like, okay. Like, the Dehkia 2 should make you more money than Dehkia 1 in pretty much every case, but except for Ash. For sometimes Dehkia 1 Ash Forest makes more than Dehkia 2, but we'll talk about Dehkia 2 in a second. Dehkia 1, again, there's Kadri. Dehkia 1 Olins. There's Dehkia 1 Cyclops. Dehkia 1 Thornwood. Dehkia Turos. What buffs do you run at Dehkia spots? All of them. All of them. You need to be literally, by the time you've reached these grind locations, grinding is a job, guys. Every single fucking buff that you can think of needs to be run. These are the spots where you want to be popping like the Harmony drafts, or the Harmony or elixirs if you want to run an elixir rotation. These are the spots where you want to be running like the really end game stuff, perfumes all the time. You want to be running basically every consumable you can think of and run. This is what you want to be running. All right. Now there's Dehkia 2 as well. We're going to talk about Dehkia 2. There's places in Dehkia 2 that you do grind, places in Dehkia 2 that you don't grind. Okay. The only places for Dehkia 2 that you actually want to grind is, you guessed it, Turos. Okay. But I mean, not Turos, Olins. But honestly, before we talk about that, between Dehkia 1 and Dehkia 2, there is a wonderful spot called Tungrad Ruins. Okay, so if you're above 710 gear score, you're going to need like 730 gear score to grind Tungrad Ruins. Minimum. And if it becomes nighttime, you're sitting on a casting couch. Okay? It is really good silver per hour. You're looking at like 2 billion an hour. 1.5 to 2 billion silver an hour. It's really solid. Okay? But you have to have a lot of pack-to-pack mobility, and there's a solid amount of skill expression here. Tungrad Ruins is one of the grind zones in the game where certain classes will far outcompete other classes because they have stronger pack-to-pack rotations, or maybe they're just stronger in PvE at getting like back attack damage, whatever. But like min-maxing your class's optimization really does matter at a spot like Tungrad Ruins. At Dehkia, it does not matter. You can have a completely minimized player that has all of their PvE buffs running, smashing the keyboard like a moron, essentially getting close to the same trash loot as somebody that doesn't, that is trying to optimize. It is not this way at Tungrad Ruins. Tungrad has a massive discrepancy, and we're going to talk about Darkseeker's Retreat in a second, because that also has huge discrepancies in terms of which classes are efficient necessarily there. But again, we're talking about the best silver per hour in the game at these spots. Anyway, Dokemi Forest, guys, I'll be honest with you, it's a terrible grind zone. It's terrible. It requires like 720, 730 gear score to grind out. I've done it. It's terrible. It's not good. It's Honglim beats it in silver per hour, and you need like half the gear score, basically. Like it's just not good. It's not good. That being said, pretty much all the Dehkia spots and everything will beat Honglim. But I will say that there's a lot of endgame players, like 730 gear score or so, or higher, that still grind Honglim base because they believe that it is in fact better than Dehkia, and that's just how good Honglim actually is. Okay, because it competes with the spots that I'm talking about here. Okay, that's me. I'm that person. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. And again, all of these tower spots, they're basically the same, guys. The only notable mention is that when you get like 720, 730 gear score, or say even 740 gear score, Tongrad Ruins becomes available, and that is, in my opinion, better than Honglim. Consistently. At the lowest at Tongrad, you'll probably make like 700 million an hour if you're really unlucky. But as long as you're pumping and you're optimizing, bro, you're cooking. You're cooking there. Okay, so now let's talk about... Okay, so now if you have no girlfriend and you have not had sex in at least 7 years, minimum 7 years, okay, maybe you could get there at like 6 years, 6.5 years, but then you're like rushing it out. But like 7 years minimum, we're going to talk about Dehkia 2 and the end game grind zones that kind of go into this. This is like when you are end game, you're 760 plus gear score, guys. 760, 770 gear score. Beyond even what gear score? I have 760 gear score. Okay. And I can do these spots, but it's hard for me. Okay, so you're talking about people that are even beyond me. Okay. Like really end game. This is the ultimate end game. All right. The best grind zones on the current metagame in silver per hour are Dehkia 2, Dehkia Olins 2, specifically Dehkia 2 Olins, and Darkseeker's Retreat. Darkseeker's Retreat is where everybody goes if you have no friends. Olins is where you go if you have at least 2 friends. Okay, so again, it depends how committed you are to the life of chastity. All right, Darkseeker's Retreat is a solo grind zone that the developers have decided is the chosen one. Okay, the developers have basically designed, they have reworked Darkseeker's Retreat at least 3 times now. It's been out for like a year. They've reworked it 3 times, maybe 4. I've lost track at this point. Almost every other patch, there's some modification because they don't feel Darkseeker's Retreat is strong enough. Now, on current patch, as of March 9th, 2025, it is stand and away, cleanly, the best solo grind zone in the entire game. It's not even remotely close. None of the other Dehkia 2 places are even remotely close to it. It is easily the best. It also has actual skill expression, so players actually like grinding there because they can min-max. This is where the best players in the game on their classes get the best trash loot in the game here. Okay, like it is absolutely disgusting how good this spot is, and if you're good at your class, you will be rewarded for that. There's massive skill expression here. Okay, massive skill expression. Dehkia 2 Olins is a brain dead turn off your, believe it or not, it's easier to do than base Olins was. So remember I talked earlier about how Olins was the best group grind zone in the game. Base Olins is the best group grind zone in the game because you actually have to do mechanics and it's like fun because you have to pull the mobs and stuff. Super sick. Once you get to Dehkia 2, the developers have like literally devolved in their level of mental. They've lost chromosomes as they've continued developing the game. So as you go through Dehkia 1 and Dehkia 2 Olins, the developers have just gotten even worse and worse at developing a grind zone that came out like 4 years ago. And so it's actually easier to do the mechanics of Dehkia 2 and Dehkia 1 Olins than it is of Dehkia or non-Dehkia Olins. Okay, so it's really, really easy. It's brain dead. You stand there with a party of 3 and you just smash your head into the keyboard and kill the mobs. Okay, it's really, really simple. Can't go wrong if you have super end game gear. Now, we're going to talk about a spot that just came out that is technically, I know I just said that these are the 2 best silver per hour in the game. technically the spot I'm about to talk about is the best silver per hour in the game, but it's only open every once in a while. And I'll get into that in a second. Dehkia 2 Ash Forest is not worth it to do, almost in any circumstance. Many people have tried. It basically one-shots you no matter what. No matter what gear score you are. You could be 850 gear score, which is literally impossible. The mobs will still one-shot you. As long as you have the AP to do them, though, you should be fine. You should be fine. You just don't get hit is usually the strategy there, and just frontal guard everything. Don't get hit. Dehkia 2 in general, I will tell you, is the strategy is just don't get hit. Okay, so there's a new spot called Golden Pig Cave. I don't know where the icon is. It's down here. Yeah, there's a new, yeah, here it is. New spot in the game called Golden Pig Cave. All right, Golden Pig Cave has two variations. There's like the shitty, it's always open version, which is actually not so shitty. It's actually pretty close to Dark Seekers. It's less than Dark Seekers Retreat, but it's still actually really good silver per hour, is my understanding. Better than most of the other Dehkia 2 spots. Really good. Even the one that's open all the time. Every once in a while, the entire server gets a notification that the Fortune Golden Pig Cave or whatever has opened up. That is the best silver per hour in the game, but it's only open for short windows of time. So you want to go to this grind zone when it says it opens up. Everybody grinds in their own little instance because we can't have party. We have plenty of party grind zones in Black Desert Online. Plenty of party content. We just couldn't make this a party spot. We couldn't make this a PvP spot. Everyone goes into their individual instances and makes 3+ billion silver an hour for a short period of time. Okay. It is a phenomenally good grind zone for silver per hour. And again, it's like, oh, well, Blue, you're not talking about what necessarily drops there. Because when you get this far in the game, it's really about silver per hour now. It's like the low-end spots. You can look at Blackstones. You can look at Scrolls. You can look at all that stuff. Nowadays, you just look at silver per hour overall. Because most of your silver is coming from Trash Loot or the Origin of Dark Hunger, which you're selling, whatever. And whatnot. So, again, those are all the best spots in the game. All right, so for low-end grinding, if you only have an hour a week to grind, you need to be maximally efficient. I recommend, if you're okay with riding out into the desert, Desert Fogans. If you don't want to ride this far out into the desert, Desert Nagas. But you're going to have to deal with the desert debuff. Okay? It's very efficient. You're going to get combat EXP there. You're going to get skill EXP there. You're going to get progress towards your infinite potion there. You're going to get really solid silver per hour there. You can get a lot of Blackstones. You're going to need those too. Right? You're going to get a lot of stuff that you need there. Basically, everything you could possibly need is going to drop from those two grind zones. Okay? Fogans drops more Scrolls than they do Blackstone. Okay, mid-game grind zone. I would say that of the early to mid-game grind zone, Kratuga is the best, probably, unless you're going for a treasure piece, in which case you're going to History. Honestly, I always liked History more than Kratuga. History has a lower gear score requirement, and you get to grind for a treasure piece, and I'd be honest with you, silver per hour wise, they're pretty close. Pretty close. Really good aggro spots. Mid-game grind zones, Honglim base, obviously. End-game grind zone, like somewhere around 700, 720 gear score. Is it still Honglim, bro? Agris Trolls. True. Probably Agris Trolls on Arsha. If you go to Trolls on Arsha at like 710 gear score, and you got your Agris on and you are pumping, your silver per hour is cooking. Very good. And very few people are actually grinding there. So again, you can do it on Arsha, right? It should outcompete Honglim. Should outcompete Honglim. Yazrid Highlands. Highlands is like, it used to be like giga good. Now it's like kind of mid compared to the rest of the Dehkia spots. I'll be honest. Like the rest of the Dehkia 1 spots and Yazrid are basically the same. The difference is you don't have to have your lantern or pop them. It's just an easier grind at Yazrid. That's why I think most people like it more. It's kind of like Guardian. Guardian's not particularly a super great grinder in the game, but it's really low APM and low effort, and that's what people care about. So people consider Guardian one of the better grinders in the game. Okay, so end game grind, Dark Seekers Retreat, in my opinion. Unless you want to... Dark Seekers Retreat for solo. For party, you're doing Dehkia 2 Olins, and for... but again, if you only have 1 hour a day to grind, you probably aren't going to be able to line that up with other people that are doing Dehkia Olins, so probably Dark Seekers Retreat. Golden Pig Cave is also really good. You can do like the normal Golden Pig Cave is fine. And then if it happens to open up while you're there, you can go into the Fortune one. I will warn you though, that if you only have an hour to grind and the fortune one is not open, unlikely you're going to get much value out of that. If you only have 1 hour to grind and it is open, just go grind it. Easy peasy. There's your hour. You're good to go. Like 3 billion silver an hour. You're good to go. But yeah, otherwise Dark Seeker's Retreat probably. Okay. So, guys, that's going to conclude my where to grind guide. If you guys have any questions about where to grind or where maybe the most efficient spots to grind are in the game, in the current metagame, and on current patch as of March, you can ask the questions in the comments below, and I will answer them for you. I'll be very diligent about answering comments on this video, just like I answer comments on my gear guide video as well, basically all the time. So, yeah, if you have any questions that I didn't cover here, make sure you ask in the comments below. By the way, there's this crazy thing. As you scroll down, there's this like button. As you go, it's insane. It's insane. If you click on that, it actually really supports me. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you thought it was good. Love you guys. I'll catch you in the next video.